Bitahnii sledo tohe dini edashe tore chini edashe chero tsena jini dashanale. I am a Folded Arms Clan, born for the two waters that flow together clan, and Bitterwater is my maternal grandparent, and Black Street on the Running Tree Clan is my paternal grandparent. I'm originally from Pine Springs, and I'm out here in the forest near a mountain, one of our sacred mountains, and saying a prayer and doing prayer offering for all of us who are having to deal with this COVID-19. And in our Navajo language, they call it Choshtoyotini. It means something, spider that you can't see with your eye. And so that's the pandemic that's happening around the world. So we made this fire here to say a prayer for our relatives, and then that way I said the prayer, and at the same time I'm also a part of the Baha'i, and with the Baha'i I found that there is a teaching that goes way back. They talk about their primordial pairs, and in the Navajo way we say Akena Ashido, Nakina Ash means the two who go together as one, and in that way it's like Mother Earth, Father Sky, and also the sun and the moon, they're a pair, and then at the same time our mother and father, it's that holy. When they come together, that's what they become to make that one, and that's ourselves. But at the same time, it's like these teachings, they're kind of being forgotten because of the assimilation of the boarding school and what I was forced through this assimilation process. But I learned, and I kept saying my prayers, and then speaking my language, and with that, and also these learning from my grandfather about these different plants and herbs and how we use them for fighting off sickness. And so there's some here that are grown here, and so that's how we use it within the sweat lodge, and also with just drinking the mixing of the different herbs. And so I just want to say thank you for giving me this time to share a little bit of what I have to say, and then also as a Baha'i, we talk about this when I was talking about the primordial pairs. It's I want to remember this springtime, and then the spiritual springtime, and with the prayer of that Abdul Baha said and shared. So I say it all the time. I have prayers that I've memorized, and then I also say my Navajo prayer too. So I will share with you. Oh my God, unite the hearts of thy servants and reveal to them thy great purpose. May they follow thy commandments and abide in thy law. Help them, O God, in their endeavor, and grant them strength to serve thee. O God, lead them not to themselves, but guide their steps by the light of thy knowledge, and cheer their hearts by thy love. Verily, thou art their helper and their Lord. Abdul Baha. Thank you.
Alawapa. My name is Ritchie, and I want to wish everyone out there a happy Ridván. Please allow me to share one quote. Say, the most great festival is indeed the king of festivals. Call ye to mind, O people, the bounty which God hath conferred upon you. Ye were sunk in slumber, and lo, he aroused you by the reviving breezes of his revelation, and made known unto you his manifest and undeviating path. Verily, all created things were immersed in a sea of purification when, on that first day of Ridván, we shed upon the whole of creation the splendors of our most excellent names and our most exalted attributes. This verily is a token of my loving providence, which hath encompassed all the worlds. Consort ye then with the followers of all religions, and proclaim ye the cause of your Lord, the most compassionate. This is the very crown of deeds, if ye be of them who understand. Alawapa.
Aloha to all the friends out there everywhere who's viewing this, and greetings on behalf of my family and my neighbors, the tribe around here, from my little home right here in the community of Wakpala. It's one of the 8 districts here at Standing Rock, which is it's a reservation. It's one of the largest reservations in the country. It's mostly tribal members living out here, and we have had a Baha'i community here since the 60s. Riḍván is it's the single most significant moment in human history to bring about that particular moment when the day of fulfillment was ushered in. All the prophets, all the manifestations, all the holy souls throughout time, they brought the glad tidings of the imminent day of fulfillment. But with that moment in the Ridván garden there in Baghdad, in 1863 was the moment in which the creation achieved fulfillment. So this is the moment in which the tree of humanity is destined to produce its fruit. I use the analogy of the tree because this is very, very significant, especially throughout the prairies, all throughout this area. This is the main devotional practice, which is observed throughout this region, is the sun dance. The center of the sun dance, of course, is the tree of life. The tree of life. So it's not like the people are worshiping the tree, but it's just that the tree is an analogy. It's a symbol. It represents the axis mundi, the center of the universe, the point through which earth and heaven are conjoined. It also represents that promised day, that promised one, in which the mankind will all gather beneath the boughs of that tree of life. And of course, according to the traditions, it's foretold that that tree of life will be filled with singing birds and flowers and produce fruit. Today, we finally achieved the time when we can recognize. You see, our ancestors aren't here. They're not here. But they have left us their traditions, their language, their culture, their music, and their prayers. So today, even though our ancestors aren't here, we can fulfill those prayers. We can realize those prayers, those dreams, those longings, those hopes, those aspirations on their behalf, you see. And so this is why we living in this day have this privilege, this bounty really of being able to hasten and accelerate this springtime, this holy divine springtime. Out here throughout North America, the indigenous people, we don't really use the arts for entertainment. Has really zero relationship, has nothing to do with entertainment. The arts is the way that we connect with creation. You know, they say there's traditionally we have 4 ways of praying. Of course, you can pray with your words. That's very powerful. But if you want to accentuate your prayers, then you sing your prayers, you intone them. This is very much part of the indigenous way of life. And then, of course, beyond that, we can turbocharge our prayers if we dance them. so many prayers like this, you know. One of the ones which is really being done quite a bit now is a woman's prayer. This was came to people in a vision during the 1918 influenza epidemic or pandemic, about 102 years ago. And then the fourth way of prayer that I'll mention to you is the most important, because without that, none of the other ones have any efficacy at all. But you have to live your prayer. You live your prayer. So in your day-to-day action, the way you think, the way how that translates into your daily life, that's the only one. That's where the rubber hits the road, right there. The prayer that we live.
I'd love to know how the friends living on the reservation lands in your region are doing during this pandemic. Are there any examples of unity and service in your community that are really shining a light in these dark times?
Well, yeah, you know, some of the young people just came over here yesterday and brought some food for me because I'm officially an elder. They even tried to bring me food all this time, and I always tell these young guys, well, if you guys can outrun me, then you can feed me. But anyway, I just let them bring the food to me.
Is there anything that the friends who might be watching or around the world might be able to do to support the friends in your area who might need support? It seems like so many friends need support everywhere, but is there anything that you know of in particular?
We're just trying to develop our human resources out here. And I think, you know, we could also stand to be beneficiaries of human resources. Here in the United States especially, most of the Baha'i community is very, very urban based. And so the indigenous population in not just in the United States, but throughout the hemisphere, throughout the world really, indigenous people are basically rural based populations. This is something that we have to really attend to in our in the Baha'i world community is how are we going to connect with these indigenous populations throughout the world, which the master said you must attach great importance to these Indians, but you can't attach importance if it's totally off the radar. Most people have never encountered an indigenous person from this land. They've never encountered them because why? They'll miss. We do need to at some point raise up human resources that will be able to address this community, this special community here, which has a great potential and also has a great great destiny according to the tablets of divine plan.
So let me ask you, how do you hope that these days of Riḍván will be remembered and celebrated by the friends both this year and maybe in the years to come?
To me, it's what they call the greater plan of God, you know, all the chaos, which is things beyond our control. And so this is really accelerating this whole process of spring, the divine springtime that we're all witnessing. You do have some real tumultuous or tempestuous weather, you know, a lot of blizzards in the springtime, torrential rains, we get tornadoes, all kinds of things like that. And so this is the process of spring that we're in the physical world, but it's a counterpart to what's going on spiritually as well. And we're going to come out much stronger, much more capable. We're going to benefit from this. We're going to develop some great skills. And this will be reflected in ensuing years. Because after all, you know, think about it. This COVID-19 started out possibly in last fall, maybe October, November. But then it really hit the fan. It really started to explode during the fast. Remember that March? And I think it's no coincidence that this happened during this most preeminent law, when we were observing the most preeminent law, the law of fasting. Remember, Bahá'u'lláh says, in the heaven of the religion of God, 2 shining orbs have been ordained, fasting and prayer. Fasting is the sun, and prayer is the moon thereof. So it's really significant, really preeminent. You know, when we read the fasting prayers, we read about how all this virtue is pent up. The virtue is waiting to be released into the world. So that virtue has to be released now. And when it does, it's going to create this springtime, this divine springtime that we'll all witness all over the world. So now we're at the threshold of that. It's a very exciting time.
Alo Apo. Happy Riḍván, dear friends. I hope you are safe with hope and positive thought in your home. My name is Vedad Theophilus. I'm living in Bellingham in Washington State, and I would like to sing in for you a Spanish healing prayer because world need healing. Allow up.
Tu nombre mi curación, oh mi Dios, y recuerdo de ti. El amor por ti es mi compañero. Tu misericordia hacia mí es mi curación y mi socorro. Tanto en este mundo como en el venidero, tú verdaderamente eres todo generoso, el omnisciente, el sabitísimo,
The reason why we're doing the song is because it is a song in Māori or te reo, and it is about love, and especially love for God. And in this time of Riḍván and connection and celebration everywhere, what better way to celebrate than thinking about the love that we can share with each other, and praise and gratitude for God's love for us. Yeah, here we go.
Alright, welcome back. This is the actual wood turning, my favorite part of this process. This is where the wood turns, and I use a chisel to really cut it down to size and shape it the way that I see fit. So this process right now, we're just taking those square pieces and making them round. It's going to take a little bit of time, but you'll see here as we go along. I decided to switch tools and use a skew. This is a really good tool for doing this kind of work. However, because the wood was not round and all of the pieces of wood had different hardnesses, so some wood is softer than others and chips away a lot quicker than others, and so it was a little difficult to control the tools as I was going from one type of wood to another, so it really had to require a finer touch and a safer tool, and the skew could be a bit scary. It definitely requires a lot of finesse, so I went back to the spindle gouge, just a little bit of safety, a little more safety built into that, so it was just a lot easier. Just checking the height of my tool rest there, making sure it's cutting at the right angle, because it's hard to see from this angle, but the wood is spinning into the tool, the chisel, and so that tool rest basically stops the chisel from just being knocked out of the way. We're kind of just cutting along here. This was actually kind of a depressing revelation here, because I think on the total project it was like 2 hours of sanding and like a total of 8 minutes of actually working with the chisel on the lathe. It was kind of hilarious. So you can see here we're just kind of getting it round. We're still cutting it down. It's not quite round, I don't think, just yet. You'll see. I'll test it in a second. See that putting the tool rest, the tool on top of the wood there, tells you if it's flat or not. And it's still got some flat spots because you could see them there. That's what I was checking. I was like, let me be brave and try this skew again. I'm not super confident with this tool to begin with, let alone on a bunch of different multiple types of wood. So skipped that, went right back to the spindle gouge. I was like, let me just do it right and be safe. I don't want anything to explode on me. The skew has a high chance to catch the wood and cause some deep cuts, and with all this many types of wood, I was afraid it would just kind of pull them all apart. So one of the things you might notice is on each end of the wood there, I've got my bushings. They're the kind of small silvery tubes that you saw us put on in the last video. That's what tells me what my sizes that I'm going for. Now I've switched over here. This is a carbide tool. It's just a different type of tip. This is a round one I like using to shape find the edges and get really close to the final diameter that I need for each piece. So I use that to get down to what I want to be. And now this is it's a slightly rounded square carbide tip, and this I find really helpful for smoothing out any rough patches, any bumps or ridges that may have been left by the other tools. And so this is going to really kind of cut down. We're really close to the final shape of the tool, and I think I'm going to leave right where I'm working. I'm taking out some ridges and some bumps, but right in there I'm going to leave a slight bump just where the grip of the person when they hold the pen is going to grip it. So this is this is kind of how I find the final shape. I don't usually like them to be super flat straight across. I want some sort of little ridge or some definition where it's going to be gripped. So that's what I was kind of doing there. And here I'm flattening out the back end there up by the way the clicker and the clip will be, where you can clip it onto like a shirt pocket or pant pocket or something like that. So it's just kind of getting it nice and smooth and coming down to the final shape here. So stay tuned for the next step. Be some more sanding.